We could blame burnout, laziness, or even the current mental health roller coaster we all seem to be on. Regardless of what's to blame, the term quiet quitting has become more and more prevalent as the year drags on. The term quiet quitting was coined to explain the phenomenon where instead of actually quitting, many people have stopped doing anything extra and do the bare minimum at work. This could look like us not speaking up as much during meetings, skipping non-mandatory events, or not volunteering to take on a new project. Today I want to examine more than quiet quitting at work. I want to talk about whether or not we're quiet quitting in life. Are we just going through the motions? Are we feeling unfulfilled? Have a lack of purpose or direction? Those are just a few of the very concerning themes that I've been picking up on when speaking with friends and members of our community. Consider that prior to the advent of radio and television, most people went about their day without seeing how the majority of others lived. They knew their local community and possibly compared themselves to people that they encountered in person. They heard about new products via word of mouth or newspaper ads. Between 1920 and 1950, radio and television's popularity grew rapidly in most homes, and people were exposed to a very powerful medium that could not only tell you, but give you a window into other people's lives. More important, what advertisers wanted you to think a successful life looked like. After the Second World War, the amount of disposable income for most Americans jumped dramatically. This powerful combination of new marketing tools, radio and television, and disposable income catapulted the U.S. into an era of hyper-commercialism. More than ever, we were keeping up with the Joneses. We saw people with large homes in the suburbs, nice cars, and perfect clothes. Fast forward to today, a new powerful tool has emerged in the form of social media, where we can see and compare our lives to everyone in the world. Now let's try a group exercise. Take your phone out and just check how many hours you spend each day on Instagram or TikTok. Now consider what content you're consuming. Are you seeing other people's lives? People who cook better, vacation better, dress better, etc. We can start to feel like we don't really have a happy or good life, and we need to get what they have. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And that remains a valid notion for compelling reasons. Engaging in self-comparisons frequently results in a sense of insufficiency and discontentment. Our attention shifts towards our shortcomings instead of our blessings, ultimately fostering a feeling of dissatisfaction with the course of our lives. Last year, I wrote down that quote, "Comparison is a thief of joy," on a Post-it note, and I put it on my desk, and I use it as a reminder every day. Count your blessings, not your shortcomings. Clever marketers create a feeling of need by making us think that we'll be happier or look more successful with their product. That's what motivates us to make a purchase. We buy things that don't really make us feel better in the long term, but we do end up making new purchases to keep getting that dopamine hit. The end result is that we're chasing happiness, and we can think, when I finally lose the weight, I can be happy, or when I'm able to buy that home, then I'll be happy. Research proves that people who chase happiness are more unhappy than those who don't pursue it directly. I believe that if we think we have to keep looking for happiness, we don't acknowledge its presence in our life right now. In effect, we're focusing on the lack of instead of recognizing the happiness which may already be present. This misplaced attention is a significant part of what's wrong with our society. By hyper-focusing on specific aspects of happiness, the new car, weight loss, vacations, mostly driven by comparison, ultimately nothing feels good or rewarding to us. Enter quiet quitting. Why do anything fully when nothing is rewarding enough? Let's take a step back and do an exercise together. This is from the workbook that I did called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I love this book. It's really helpful. But this exercise is called Life Pie. And it works like this. So get out a piece of paper, get a pen. Draw a circle. Divide it into 6 pieces of pie. Label one piece spirituality, another exercise, another play, and so on with work, friends, and romance/adventure. Place a dot in each slice at the degree to which you are fulfilled in that area. Putting a dot all the way to the outer rim of your circle indicates great. You're doing great in that area of your life. Towards the inner circle, not so great. Connect the dots. This will show you where you're lopsided. As you begin this course, she's talking about her workbook, it is not uncommon for your life pie to look like a tarantula. As recovery progresses, your tarantula may become a mandala. Working with this tool, you will notice that there are areas of your life that feel impoverished and on which you spend little or no time. Use the time tidbits that you're finding to alter this. I encourage you to repeat this exercise every few months and check in. Like Julia says, the chart will hopefully move out of its tarantula-like state and into more of a mandala. Recently, I've noticed how often people use key terms, but don't take the time to define them for ourselves. So let's take a minute and reflect on the term success. What does success look like to you? How do you define it? When you think of success, do you see yourself in the picture or do you see things that need to be purchased? If we want to work towards something, we're going to have to know what it is exactly that we're fighting for. And this kind of relates to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which were proposed by an American psychologist, Abraham Maslow, in his 1943 paper, A Theory of Human Motivation. It's made up of 5 levels of needs. Now, each level must be attained before we can move on to the next, like we have to lay our foundation. Now, although he never placed these needs into a pyramid, that's the most common way that you're going to see this theory shared. So number 1, our first layer, is at the bottom of our pyramid, and that is physiological needs. Think of things like shelter, food, water, sleep, air. Number 2 is safety needs, like health, security. Moving on, the third level is love and belonging, which is a sense of connection, intimacy, relationships. Fourth is esteem needs. Examples of these are things like accomplishments and recognition, self-esteem, and freedom. These 4 levels are what Maslow called our deficiency or D needs. And this means that if there's a deficiency in any of those levels, all of our focus and motivation will be on getting those needs met. He further believed that there may not be physical symptoms that someone is lacking in one of those levels, but they themselves will feel tense and anxious until they're able to get those needs met. Okay, so that's the bottom 4. Now, the final level, level 5, is called self-actualization. And this is when we achieve our fullest potential. We are the best that we can be. And this last level is also known as a being or a B need. Now, I bring up this model because it's a great representation of why focusing on only one portion of our life isn't going to make us happy. We have to meet all our needs. Now, I know that can seem overwhelming, but fortunately, there are some simple ways to start working on it today. What I want to propose isn't a solution, but a step in the right direction. Something like this takes upkeep and checking in with ourselves when we start to feel like nothing is meaningful anymore. Instead of waiting until we want to quiet quit everything in our life, my hope is that we can get better at noticing the imbalance more quickly. Here are my 2 tips to stop us from quiet quitting in life. Let's go back to that first exercise where we made the circle and we broke it into 6 parts. Set a reminder in your calendar to repeat that exercise every 2 months. It only takes about a half an hour, and it gets easier over time. If you find one area lacking, make a plan to spend 5 to 10 minutes doing something that satisfies that segment of your life. It doesn't have to be a big time or energy commitment either. It's more about the regularity of it. So make sure you can keep up with it consistently. Is it adding in a weekly walk for 30 minutes? Is it reading a book that you've been putting off? Perhaps it's potting a new plant and nurturing it. Whatever it is that brings you incremental joy, I want you to find it and purposely incorporate that into your life because small changes add up to big results. My second tip is to figure out what your non-negotiables are. Non-negotiables are things that you need to have in your life in order for you to feel fulfilled. Examples of this could be making time for friends, eating well, exercise, journaling, or whatever you know that makes you feel good. Place these non-negotiables in your calendar. Commit to them, just like you would any other meeting or appointment. These aren't negotiable. We can't cancel them or move them with ease. We can't keep putting our needs last and giving ourselves just the scraps. In effect, we should pay ourselves first. Know that I struggle with this just as much as anyone else, and I'm going to do my best to start working on this stuff too, so let's hold each other accountable. I'll be revisiting this topic in a few months to check in with you. So bookmark this video and come back to it each month just to check in, see where you're at and how you're doing with making those changes. It will take time, but trust me, you're worth it.